Hello, club members, and it is a wonderful day today because we've got co-founder of JPPS, Charles Kovess, presenting at today's The Club Live session. And what Charles will be speaking about is how to use the 7 strategies for passionate performance to create an inspiring 2021. What a magnificent way to approach the new year as it comes through. Welcome, Charles.
Thank you, Julie. Lovely to be here. Lovely to be here with everybody. Here we are, close to the start of a new year. Very exciting.
It is very exciting. And so it's not distracting. I'm going to turn my video off and hand it over to you, Charles. But I might have a few questions at the end, possibly, depending on what enters my brain.
Beautiful. Well, anytime you want to interrupt, you are most welcome, I assure you.
Fantastic. I certainly will possibly pick you up on that offer. Thank you. Over to you.
All right. Now, New Year comes up. The newspapers, the mainstream media is full of material on how to make New Year resolutions. And then towards the end of January, February, we've gone through the resolution process and then nothing has changed. The new year goes on as in the past. So one of the questions I urge you to think about is how well you have handled New Year resolutions in the past. If you've been fantastic at them, terrific. You probably don't need to listen to me. On the other hand, I have found most people are not terrific at all in making use of this opportunity that comes along for adopting new behaviours, new ways of thinking to help us go where we want to go. Over the years, over the 27 years that I have been speaking as Australasia's passion provocateur, I have crafted 7 key principles for passionate performance. I call them 7 strategies for passionate performance in your life. And I want to go through now these 7 steps, these 7 strategies, and apply them to your thinking at the start of a new year and to help you make your New Year resolutions. So the first thing I will do is share. I'll take you through the 7 steps, and then I will unpack them a little bit so that you can start using them immediately and or thinking about them, how you're going to use them over the next 2 or 3 days, or indeed the first 2 weeks of January. So I've expanded this up a little bit, so I'll show you what the 7 strategies looks like. I have it on a bookmark. If you would like the bookmark, please let us know, and we'll be happy to post 1 or 2 copies to you, or indeed more than that, to share with your staff and with your friends. So that's what it looks like. The strategies for passionate performance in your life should be here. There they are. And on one side, it's your life. On the other side, it's your organization. And you will see that these strategies use the acronym of PASSION, the acronym PASSION, using those 7 letters. So, the big overview. The P stands for prepare your goals in mind, MBS, mind, body, and spirit. The A stands for accept your reality. Accept that you create your own unique picture of reality. The S stands for self-knowledge. Know yourself. Self-knowledge is the key to wisdom. And I'll explain all of these in more detail, of course. The second S of passion is stuff up. Be courageous. Access your courage to take risks and make mistakes. The I stands for I am unique. You are unique. Be willing to be uniquely you. The O stands for your own learning, growth, and development. I urge you to invest 5% of your time and your income in your own learning, growth, and development. And the N stands for no blame. Take responsibility. Taking responsibility for your life is the opposite of blaming other people. So that's the 7 the 7 strategies. So now let's talk about number 1, prepare your goals in mind, body, spirit. Now, when I run workshops, when JPPS, when we run workshops together, I share this idea that we are made up of 3 key elements: mental, physical, spiritual. And my definition of passion is that it's a source of unlimited energy from your soul, your spirit, your heart, that enables you to produce extraordinary results. Passion is a source of unlimited spiritual energy. The mental part of you is your capabilities, your skill as a dentist, your skill as an administrator, any skill that you have where you use your brains to guide your decisions and then to apply the skills that you have. And then the physical side is really talking about the physical parts of your life, including the things that cash will buy. So your mental side is your job that enables you to generate income, and then you have a physical side. So you are made up, as human beings, I am made up, all of us are made up of mental, physical, and spiritual elements. And so your goals for 2021 need, in my view, to cover these 3 elements. Otherwise, you will be lopsided. I also want to show you something. So what I want to show you is my heart. I carry this around when I'm speaking to audiences. This is a reminder that passion comes from your heart, your soul, your spirit. And we're talking about your passionate performance. So just hold this in mind. I'll see if I can put this up here. I'll show it to you at the end. Now, goals. We all have goals, and many people don't have goals. And secondly, we have goals and we don't achieve them. There is an important distinction when you're crafting mental, physical, and spiritual goals for the next 12 months. Or take this opportunity at the turn into a new year to leave a really crappy year behind of 2020. Let's go into 2021. Let's get excited about what we want to create that's going to inspire us, and to say, what do I want to achieve during the year that I'm going to be inspired by, that I'm going to be able to actually achieve? And there's an important distinction between having a goal and then having the discipline to achieve the goal. I'll give you an example. Your goal might be to get fit. Now, it's a bit, let's just use it broadly. You say, I want to get fitter. My response to that is, well, what would that actually mean? Does that, in running terms, in swimming terms, in cycling terms? I'm a triathlete, so I train every day. I've been training every day for 35 years in triathlon. So I have a fair idea of what it means to get fit. So when you make a decision, I want to get fitter or I want to burn fat, I don't say lose weight. I say you want to burn fat because your muscles and your skin are needed. The only part of you that's overweight is you have too much fat. And burning fat is a positive picture rather than lose weight, which is a negative picture. Now, the goal might be, I want to get fit enough to run a half marathon, or I want to swim 200 meters freestyle in under 3 minutes. That could be the goal. Now, you need certain disciplines to achieve these goals. And then the mix happens. Is your goal the actual discipline or the end goal? And my view is it doesn't matter. If you say to yourself, I want to swim, we'll use the swimming for the moment, I want to swim under 3 minutes for 200 meters, and that's pretty difficult to do. In other words, most swimmers can't do anything like that. Then you say, for me to achieve that, I would need to swim 5 times a week for at least 1 hour. So 5 hours of swimming a week is what I would need to do. And so you can put into your physical goal, swim 5 hours per week for at least 5 days. That's a physical goal. And so it's okay if you put that into your goals so that your new discipline you adopt as the goal. Another spiritual goal could be you want a better relationship with your children. And it could be that you're working too hard. So your decision could be, whilst the goal might be, I want better relationships with my children, the discipline is, I will have dinner on the 5 weekdays at least twice a week with my children. So you leave work early and you have dinner with them at 6:30 to 8:30, let's say, 2 of the 5 nights a week. That's the discipline to help build the relationship, but it's okay if you call that the goal. Now, the question of having gone over this distinction between disciplines and end goals, then the question is mental, physical, and spiritual goals. And it ties into this question of why do you want these goals? So the mental goals are skill development, experiences, learning. The physical goals are you might want a new house. You might want to get fitter, lose weight. You might want to buy 100 pairs of shoes. You might want to buy a new car. You might want to buy a holiday house. You might want to have $1 million in the bank. That arguably is a mental goal. So that they slip over. The point of the mental, physical, spiritual is to help you get balance in your life so that you don't sacrifice core elements of your life because you're pursuing a particular goal. My wish for you is to live a passionate life that is inspiring for you, that balances the mental, physical, and spiritual elements for you. Now, the spiritual elements, the spiritual goals, relate to family, to friends, to faith, to freedom, to community contribution, to having fun. Could be your desire for a holiday. It could be for your desire to get into politics. That could be a spiritual experience because you want to make a difference. And these goals have to tie in with your values. What is important to you? When you start thinking about these mental, physical, spiritual goals, and my suggestion to you is for 2021, you don't adopt too many new goals. I think you go back and re-look at goals that you haven't achieved and say, yes, I still want those goals. But these goals have to be consistent with what you are passionate about. Don't just adopt goals because other people think they are important. Don't just adopt income goals because you want to keep up with the Joneses. The real question is here, and I urge you to do it, is to do your own thinking. As we go through these 7 strategies, that will help you do your own thinking. That will help you to build the courage to live life on your terms. But the goals are a crucial starting point. Now, Julie, before I go on to strategy number 2, do you have any questions?
I just had a couple of things here that I love the thought around building goals around mind, body, and spirit, 3 separate ones, and to create that balance that we have. So many of us come to this point in time in the year and think, what's the point of me setting goals because I never achieve them anyway? I'm just going to be disappointed in myself at the end of the year again, just like I was last year and the year before that. And I think what marries well with this goal setting process at this time of year is to shift that negative thinking into, of course, I've got every capability in the world to be able to achieve this goal. And sure, in the past, I haven't had a compelling why behind those goals. This time it's different, so my results will be different. I'm a powerful, amazing human being. Of course I can achieve these goals.
Beautifully put, and that important why. You know, we have these goals, but why do we have these goals? And that requires some self-awareness and some self-reflection to gain that self-awareness. Say, well, the reason why I want this is because it supports my values, or the reason why I want this is because it enables me to have control. And in some of your other, in our other programs that we've talked about, is asking why 5 times. It's a great process. So that's a topic for another day, but it's worth having on there to help us clarify why we want certain things. By the way, these principles also apply to practice goals, of course, because we can create new goals for the practice for the new year as well. And then we have to talk about, what disciplines will we need to achieve these goals? And then why do we want these goals?
Beautiful. Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. The second strategy for using these passionate performance strategies to have an inspiring 2021 is, and I'll share this on the screen so that you get a pictorial of it, is to accept your reality. Accept that you create your own unique picture of reality. Now, that is a very scary idea for many people. So what does this actually mean, that you accept your reality? You are creating what is real for you. And in scientific terms, the easiest way to understand that is that when we see light rays hit our eyeballs, and light rays hit our eyeballs, hit our retina at the back, and then go along the optic nerve, messages are sent, not pictures, messages are sent for interpretation. Well, yes, pictures, and from our hearing, messages, nerves are sent to our brain to interpret what something means. And your mind, partly brain, but also mind, we're not going into the distinction of the mind and the brain at the moment, your mind then interprets what has hit the back of your retinas. Your subconscious mind works hand in hand, sometimes in opposition to your conscious mind, and you then create your meaning based on what's in your subconscious mind and in your mind. And the amazing thing is that not one person has the same material in their subconscious mind as you. So this is a reminder that you're creating your own reality. Nobody creates your reality like you. And you have the opportunity in a new year to say, I'm going to create a whole new reality. And one of my goals, one of my mental goals, is to start working on shifting my subconscious mind's functioning. And one of the core elements where that functions is your belief system. So when you believe you cannot do something, you are absolutely correct. As Henry Ford so beautifully said, whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you are right. So if you are creating your reality, I'm creating my reality. Crucial to that is what I believe. And so one of your opportunities at the new year is to start thinking about, what do you actually believe? Because those beliefs are then dictating how you are creating your reality. And one of those beliefs is, how successful do you believe you can be in achieving the goals that you are wanting to set mentally, physically, and spiritually? So, Julie, that's the second strategy. Any burning questions?
That's the whole thing around beliefs, and that's what then creates our reality, and our existence of life is crucial, because what age are we when we develop most of our core beliefs in life?
Yes, they start from 3 months of age. In fact, probably in utero, because Bruce Lipton in The Biology of Belief says we start creating them when we are in utero. Mm. And the experiences that we pick up from our mother, what is a loving response, What is a fearful response? Love and fear are the opposite ends of the spectrum. It's not love and hate, but love and fear. And we start adopting those beliefs, the same beliefs that our mother has, and then we learn from our father and then from our siblings. And then you go, wow, what sort of weird beliefs do I have?
And so we move through our life as young children, attaching our childlike meaning and assessment of the situations that we move through. In essence, we end up as adults being directed by the thoughts of a little child, unless we go through that process of curiosity, wondering, what are my beliefs? Are they appropriate for my adult life now?
Very good. And that's one of the questions that's worth asking for a new year. Are my beliefs serving me or hindering me? And secondly, do you believe that you're capable of changing your beliefs? That's another crucial issue, because people say, well, that's what I believe. Let me assure you, and I'm sure Julie will be talking about it as the year goes on, it is possible to change beliefs. And I'll give you one example that most of you watching this show, most of you watching this episode, believe that when you were children that Santa Claus existed. And now some of you don't believe he does exist. So beliefs can change.
They can. Thank you.
All right, on to strategy number 3. Let's get our picture back up. Strategy number 3 is self-knowledge. Know yourself. Self-knowledge is the key to wisdom. So knowing yourself, that could be one of your goals this year. How well, in 2021, how well do you know yourself? Self-knowledge is the key to wisdom, because in simple terms, and I always strive for simplicity in our work, being wise enables you to make a good decision compared to a bad decision, make a right decision compared to a wrong decision. Good, bad, right, wrong. What is good for you? What is right for you? You have to have deep, deep self-knowledge to be able to say, yes, that's good for me, because that is who I want to be. And then you explore this complexity around, well, if my beliefs, as we've talked earlier, if my beliefs are governing my picture of myself, then perhaps I'm not very accurate about who I actually am. And so your decision to be able to say, this goal is good for me, this goal is right for me, requires you to have some self-knowledge. And this is an ongoing task for the rest of your life. Experiences that you have demonstrate to you what's inside you. Tough times demonstrate to you who you actually are. And I urge you to embrace this idea of ongoing exploration of yourself, to say, gosh, I've set these goals for 2021. How am I responding to these goals? Is this the real me, or am I hiding the real me? Your ability to make great decisions, wise decisions that support your life, are a function of your self-knowledge. Be willing to embrace the idea of gaining ever more self-knowledge, of increasing your self-awareness about yourself. The rewards, I promise you, will be enormous. Julie?
I love that. You know what came into my brain as you were talking about that self-knowledge is that, one, sometimes people are afraid to go into a self-knowledge process because they are maybe unhappy with what they find. It may make them quite uncomfortable. But as many of the club members know, we've recently moved, a number of months ago now, we moved house, and our new house has got a veggie patch at the back, something that I've never grown in the past. And I've been doing a terrible job. There's been things that have gone to seed and wilted down, and things aren't thriving. And to kind of frame that fear or that apprehension that some people may have when it comes to that knowledge about oneself, that self-knowledge, is to use maybe that veggie patch as a bit of an analogy, that if I approach that veggie patch without a curiosity of how to get better results, because I'm too afraid of finding out things that the reasons why I'm killing everything, then I'm never going to get better. However, with the veggie patch, you get, and with ourselves too, we get such instant results when we start doing the right thing. When we do take that step of, it doesn't matter how I feel or how uncomfortable it makes me, how often I need to be out there at the veggie patch, how much water I need to use, all of these things are irrelevant, because my core thing is that I need to understand how to make that veggie patch thrive. I need to know what's going to help it and what's going to hinder it. And I need to know that about my own self too. And it becomes very evident, as you know, you've said in the past, Charles, that progress equals happiness. And just as a veggie patch can help us feel such a strong sense of progress in our knowledge about how to make it thrive, that's true for ourselves as well.
Indeed. Well said. Beautiful, beautiful metaphor. The veggie patch metaphor for self-knowledge and self-awareness. Okay. We're on to strategy number 4 of the 7 strategies. Let's have a look what it says. This is the S, the second S of passion. Stuff up, be courageous. Access your courage to take risks and make mistakes. And some of you will know that I say in my books, in all of my presentations, you cannot develop any skill without making mistakes. And so in your setting goals for 2021, in your exploration of who you actually are, you must make mistakes, because you are developing increased knowledge about yourself. You will make mistakes in terms of decisions that you make. And secondly, you will be pursuing goals that will challenge you, that will require you to behave in new ways, require you to think in new ways, and you therefore need to take the risk that the new way that you're choosing to think and act may not work. And I urge you to embrace your courage, and that courage comes from your soul, from your heart, because you're passionate about the goals that you've set. Embrace your courage in your personal life, in your practice life, to make the mistakes that are the fastest way in which you can get better. And I remind you that the reason why kids are so good at computer games is they have no fear of making mistakes. When we get older, we get trapped in the way that we're doing things. I urge you to embrace living like a child. The Bible talks about it. The kingdom of God belongs to little children. I think that message from the Bible is, let's have this sense of wonder. Gosh, I've got a whole new set of goals. I'm going to get a whole new set of behaviors. I have to make mistakes. Good. I will do my best not to avoid them. I will do my best to make the right decision, but I will accept that I will make mistakes because I want to progress quickly. And if people yell at me for making mistakes, if people say I'm an idiot for making mistakes, say, sorry, made a mistake, but I'm getting better. And secondly, you can make the same mistake more than once. One example, if you want to get good at gymnastics, the pommel horse, it's considered that you need to jump the pommel horse at least 10,000 times before you can master it. So don't fall into this trap. I didn't get it right the first time, therefore I'm not going to do it. No. There are some skills that we need to develop, and swimming, I talked about it earlier, swimming is another one where the skill of how you actually swim and when you put your hand in, all of that requires practice, and practice therefore implies lack of perfection, implies mistake making. Be courageous, make the mistakes so that you can make progress, and through that progress, you can be happier. Julie, any questions?
I've always noticed when you are counselling people, and if they mention that they've done something wrong, your first response straight away is great. It's like, great, we've got something to work with now. Let's keep moving forward. And I think it is about, you were talking earlier about deep-seated beliefs. Our response to mistakes has been taught to us from a very young age, or, we were allowed to make mistakes up to a certain age, and then all of a sudden we weren't allowed to make mistakes in our learning anymore when we entered school and such. But to have that automated response to a mistake that you've made shift from I failed to I'm growing could be the one thing that helps people to embrace the fact that growth equals making mistakes, and therefore I'm on that journey, I'm comfortable with it.
Beautiful. I'm growing or I'm progressing, because some people may be on the burning fat exercise and they don't want to be growing. So, very good. So we're now up to strategy number 5. Let's have a look at what strategy number 5 is. The 5th strategy is the I of passion. Passion. I am unique. This is a very simple principle. I've talked about how you create your own reality, but I urge you to be willing to be uniquely you. This is a scary idea, because we all want to be loved. This desire to be part of community, for people to love us, is so strong. But if you stop being you to not upset anybody else, you are paying a big price. And I urge you to understand that price that you pay, so that you, on a day-by-day basis, you wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to be me, I'm going to be me, or words to that effect. Make that decision. I'm going to be me. However, within the practice, within your life, you don't have to go nuts about this. This is where self-knowledge comes in, because you might say, as a bloke, I don't put the toilet seat down. And your wife, your spouse, your partner says, I ask you to put the toilet seat down. Well, if someone asks me to put the toilet seat down, I'll put the toilet seat down. So this idea of willing to be who I am, but then not getting caught up in the drivel and the nonsense, but the truly important elements of who I am, of who you are, and letting that light shine about who you are. And then within your work environment, with any environment, having the courage to not only make mistakes, but having the courage to express your opinions, to express your views around coronavirus, to express your views around what the practice should be doing, to express your views around better ways of doing things that align with who you uniquely are. I urge you, be willing to be the unique you that God, the universe, has created each one of us to be.
That's very good. And the thing that made me think about was, again, just that level of discomfort. But what if people see me as different? They don't like the different. Or what if I get judged? That fear of judgment that many people have. And it seems to be even more so now than ever before, given we have got so much access to the way people think and respond to us through social media. Put one comment up and you can get 10 people telling you exactly how they feel about that comment. And as you've said in the past, if you made that same comment on a radio station, everyone out there listening may have disagreed with you, but you don't get to hear any of that. And so that ignorance, or not ignorance, but just the unawareness of what people think about you, helps you be bold and brave in your space. And so effectively managing what people think